Hi, hello, it's me, Tommy, back again with another video, and this time it's me breaking into my brand new bullet journal. I actually got the book for sketching and I never used it for that, and I do need a new calendar, but I don't really like buying calendars because the way they are made, yeah, it doesn't always sit right with me. I like the bullet journal for a reason, and it's because I can just write things. I can use it as a diary if I don't have mine on hand, and I can also write specific things like if something happened that day and I have basically all the pages of the book to write in. I'll get into the details of bullet journaling, but first, as you can tell, I'm swatching the pens and pencils I'm planning on using in this bullet journal because, and I would suggest you do this with all the books, all the coloring books, everything you use when it's paper, pens, and pencils, and coloring markers, whatever, because it's giving you an idea of the bleeding and the ghosting on the other side of the page. And I always do this when I first start using a book, even if it's just a notebook, because I hate writing something and then realizing I can't use the next two pages because it bled through. So yeah, it's a great idea, and I do recommend to always swatch your materials on the paper you're planning on using. So, bullet journals, what are they? I'm not going to tell you exactly the story of it because there are a bunch of other YouTubers and a lot of videos and pages and even like websites and blogs that you can go to and read more about bullet journals and what they mean for others. But for me personally, I use bullet journals to, well, more so than anything, collecting all my to do lists, and also it's like a calendar and a journal and a diary all in one place, and I just love it. I don't have much else to say. I just love bullet journals over calendars because it gives you more freedom. You can design it however you want, the colors however you want, whatever. And the thing about bullet journals for me is when you have your to-do list, you have your, for example, Monday, and then you have your to do list on Monday, everything you need to get done, all the work you have to do, blah blah blah, or your notes, whatever. It's the end of Monday, and then you write Tuesday and everything you have to get done that day. That doesn't mean you don't have a full spread or two for the month or weeks. You can actually have both monthly and weekly spreads. I just don't like doing that. I like having a month and then my days. But I did try something new for this specific journal because I watched the video, and the person in that video, I forgot the video and the creator's name, I'm so sorry, but the creator explained two spreads that she uses, and I wanted to try them out. One of which I did not like, the other is perfectly fine, and two others I haven't fully used them this month because I really didn't get the point of them. Once I crack the code on how to use them, I think it's going to be quite good. I did actually use them, but I didn't use them to the extent that I thought could be a possibility. I don't know how to explain it. It's like I wrote two things on two pages, and yeah, I'll show you later when the parts come up on the screen as you watch. And for now, I'm just making the first spread, welcoming, and also a lot of stickers because why not? So you will see me starting the index first because the index is where you go back to check the page numbers. If you can find a book with like either a blank book or a dotted one or whatever book with numbers, that would be super super good because the numbering of the pages is actually really annoying. But having the blankness of the pages, even if it's dotted or lined or whatever, you can actually do a lot with it, even if it has something on it, as long as it's not like a pre-cut super thick and dark lines and shapes or whatever, then you can use it for bullet journaling. It's not going to be in your way anyway. So as you can tell, I did my dots, my plus, my circles, my arrows, whatever, whatever. And as you can tell, I also wrote 1, 2, 3 as priority thing for tasks, and I only use 1, 2, 3 because if I don't want to plan my day exactly how, like, I have to do this first and then this and then this and then this. I don't like that. I usually just write 1, 2, 3 because it's the main task of the day that I have to get done that day, and everything else can be discarded. I don't have to pressure myself to finish all the tasks as long as I get those three done, which means I can have all day to finish those tasks without feeling too stressed, especially if those tasks are very time consuming, like filming or editing or maybe working on some project or whatever. I actually didn't like the monthly spread for this month because it was quite cramped and it didn't give me a good overview of the month, and I noticed myself using the small box at the bottom of the page. You'll see me make a lot of mistakes. I can't even use a ruler, but that's fine because it's my book, it's not yours. You don't have to like it. As long as it's functional to me, I don't even I don't care if it's ugly or nice or whatever, as long as it's useful. So you'll see me making a lot of mistakes, and also the box at the bottom of this page. And that bottom of that page is actually more usable for me than the entire rest of the page. So for next month, I'm going to make only that type of spread for July, and hopefully I can manage to fit in all 30, or yeah, I think it's 30 days or 30, I don't remember, but hopefully I can fit them all in on one page. If not, I'll have to use both pages, and I don't really care. It's fine as long as it's something I'll use. And yeah, the reason I didn't like the month page is because it felt a bit too cramped and too narrow, and it's totally my fault because I can't do things. Like, I can't even, I used a calculator to know how much space I have and I still mess up. So yeah, great, I know. But that's fine. So, the next spread will be as narrow because I am using the same spacing for each day. The next spread is going to be my habit tracker for the month of June. So, I have a few comments on how to make or how to think about your habit tracker, and you don't have to take this to heart. You don't have to listen to anything I have to say. I'm just going to say it, and if it's good, if it's a tip that you feel you can implement in your own bullet journal, then that's great. If you feel like it's useless to you, you don't have to try it. If you want to try it for fun, you can. Do whatever you want to do with your bullet journal. The point of bullet journals is for them to be very productive and make you even more productive. It's not supposed to take a lot of time, which I have seen a lot of YouTube videos of people sitting for hours creating those very fancy, beautiful spreads, only to not use the spreads or the bullet journal at all because they are afraid of ruining the pages, and the pages are super nice, and now there are dates on them, there are days on them that you can't really rearrange, which means you can't use them for the next year, which is sad because now you have wasted all this paper and material and you haven't even used the book. So yeah, if you want a functional bullet journal, make sure that you do not put too much effort into the way it looks, only to not use it after. You can make it pretty if you want, as long as you use your bullet journal, which is also why I have some of the tips I have for the habit tracker. Because what's the point of writing down habits if it's not something you're actually trying to make into a habit, right? So, what I mean by that is, if you are going to make your very first habit tracker, my tip would be to write down at least 50% of that habit tracker, or the habits that you're tracking. If you want to track 10 habits, at least 5 of those habits should be habits that you already have and not new habits. In fact, I would go even further and say the habits you want to track the first time you're using a new system should be the habits that you already have. To one, see how it's supposed to look like once you have a habit down, and two, only add 1 to 3 new habits each month, because then you are actually working on achieving said habit instead of having a shattered mind that is trying to juggle with so many balls and sticks at the same time. It cannot do a good job. It's going to drop a few things. And it happened to me this month because I had so many new habits that I wanted to learn. But I didn't, like, my habit tracker looks to me very empty because some I just list for some reason, I don't know why, but some of those habits that I added to my habit list are things I can only do when I'm in my own apartment. But I was at my parents' home because I'm trying to get my driver's license, and they have a car that I can practice with, so I'm practicing with them. And for 2 weeks, almost the entire month, I almost lived with them to a certain point because of me trying to learn how to drive. And it's just more effective to stay there and have 1 or 2 lessons a day sometimes, because you know you got to do what you got to do, right? So for the month of June, my habit tracker looked quite empty because the rest of the habits that I could only do at my own apartment, I couldn't do them when I was at my parents' home. For example, playing ukulele. And although I'm at my own apartment, I started something else. Instead of playing instruments, I started to crochet. And I love crocheting, but it's not on the habit tracker, so you can't tell that I have been crocheting almost every single day of the month. Sorry, I'm having a hard time breathing sometimes, and it's not because I'm talking, it's actually on my nose. I need one of those mint, I think, whatever sticks that you stick up your nose and breathe in to open up my nostrils. So yeah, not nostrils, but like the, I don't, canal? I don't know. Yeah, whatever. It's fine. So yeah, those are my tips for habit trackers and starting a new habit tracker altogether. Because if you want to have a full 10 new habits that you want to track, which one are you going to focus on? If you are going to focus on one each week, in that case, it would be better to have a weekly habit tracker than a monthly habit tracker. And that's the point of learning what works for you. And that's also the reason why I say some things, for example, the habit tracker and the monthly spreads, have some type of a learning curve, because you don't know what works for you until you try it. So try it and let me know. And yeah, let me know if any of the tips I have said thus far applies to you, if you find them helpful. If not, hopefully my next video will be more helpful, because I'm going to try a new few spreads. I'm not sure which spreads I'm going with, but I'm going to change a few of them. One is the habits tracker. I'm going to write fewer habits, definitely fewer habits, and habits that I actually already have, to make sure that I actually am logging and noticing whether or not I'm on top of logging. Because logging is also a process. Maybe the habits you have, maybe you actually practice them, but you're not logging them, which is also a reason why you should be logging in for at least your first habit tracker, the habits you already know you have, to see whether or not you're good at tracking them and if the system or the spread works for you. And yeah, that's all for the habit tracking part of this video. This spread is my new thing. Not my new thing. I watched a video and she explained this very nicely, very convincing, and I wanted to try it, but I didn't actually use that spread that I just flipped through. Oopsie daisy. But that spread is actually supposed to be a page or a spread, obviously, of 2 pages that you go back to see, okay, for example, wrist pain due to crocheting a lot and not taking breaks. You can write that in the physical part, like my body this month, wrist pain. Next month, maybe I feel a bit depressed or anxious or stressed. And then month after, or even during the same month, you can log in your spirit, your mind, your physical, and then also you can write in other things. The next page was brain dump for work and personal life, and I only wrote, I think, one line there too, like on the personal thing, which is good. I think I'm going to keep those spreads because just because I haven't gotten a use of them right now doesn't mean I won't in the future. So I'm going to give them at least a few months to see whether or not they are good for me. And that's another thing, that's another tip I have to give you. If something doesn't, if you're trying something new and it doesn't feel like it's functional, try it for at least 2 months. Don't stop at just once, because maybe you that month was unusual and you didn't have to log in that much on that spread, but maybe the month after you'll see that that spread is very helpful. You get me? We have come to the end of the video, and hopefully you have learned a new thing, or maybe I said something that made you think about certain not certain certain things. And I hope that you have a great time with your bullet journals or journals in general, or calendar if that works for you too. I mean, I'm not shaming anyone for using a calendar. I wish they worked for me. I only found one that worked for me, and that one I finished up. So yeah, it's kind of sad, and I would like a new one, but I'm also having this bullet journal, so not really. I can just, do my own thing. But just in case I haven't said it before, I'm going to say it now. The index is very important because you're going to write down the page number and then what you find on that page number. For example, the month spread for June on page, say, number 1, and then July is on page, say, 16 or 8, whatever, right? So that's the reason why you have your index, and give yourself space, at least 3 pages. um yeah, I would say at least 3 pages, because you never know what you need them for. And yeah, that's all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed this video, and like, subscribe, comment down below if any of my tips were helpful, or if you have more tips that you would like me to try out, because I'm going to make my July spread very, very soon, and I would like to try something new. Just something new. Yeah, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye bye.